Hi guys, it's Nicole, and I'm so excited to share my layout with you guys today. This is part of Sarah's Scraps annual school themed hop. This year she's got books, brains, and bad puns. I chose not to do a bad pun. I just kind of leaned into the school theme. I am using a free sketch from Scrapbook Generation. This is sketch support number 32. However, I am using the I think it's a $2 add-on where you get a PDF that has like a bunch of different variations on the main free sketch. So I'm using one of the variations. As you could see, the sketch was a single page. I'm doing one of the double page variations. And when I saw the version that had a bunch of I think it was banners going across, I was like, pencils. Those need to be pencils. So I'm going to kind of mix up a bunch of different things. These print and cuts are from Tracy Reed. However, they are retired. I bought them, I think in 2020, because it's more of like a distance learning COVID type thing. But the colors and like the basics are some of my absolute favorites. So I keep printing it and keep using it. I can't put it down. I'm kind of hoping that maybe one day she'll bring out like an updated version. So maybe I'll message her. Anyways, these are my little pencils that I have here. And I did go back and get the number. So pause, screenshot, write it down if you need to. This is the number and the design information for the Silhouette store. This is a simple enough shape that you really could freehand it if you wanted to. I'm not good at that, so I let my Silhouette cut everything. All of these papers are Doodlebug petite prints. I think a couple of them are some one-offs from my bag of scraps. I have a 2-gallon Ziploc bag that I just kind of toss scraps in. I need to go through it, but I keep finding things to use. So I just did a rainbow order of tone on tone. This is chef's kiss, my favorite type of thing to do with paper, especially because I'm not really using a school collection. I'm just pulling in different things that I want to use. My photos are from the first day of school it would be the school year of 2020-2021. So this was the year that we stayed home, but I still did our traditions. We do a pancake breakfast. I've talked about that in a previous video. I take them to the park next door to the school and we do a little photo session before I drop them off. This year, we still went to the park, did our pictures, but instead of going next door to the school, we went home. So this is one of my favorite times of the year because there's certain times where I pull out my big camera and I make my kids have a little mini photo session and I get to kind of exercise my photography skills and just kind of have fun. So I picked some of my favorite photos, and while I'm using a double page sketch, the version or the option that I picked had 8 smaller photos, so wallets. I basically mapped this out in Photoshop as I was editing my photos. So I just opened a blank canvas that was 12 by 24 so that I could visualize how this was going to look before I went ahead and printed my photos. I do print at home, so that does kind of make things a little bit easier for me when it comes to planning and trying to get a lot of photos on a layout. So I think a couple of these I did reprint. One of them I got paint on, one was the wrong size. So that's kind of why I like to print at home, is I don't have to sort of stop my process to go order photos. I can just kind of jump back onto my computer, print it, and move on. So I did a mix of, I want to say these are 3x5s. I think I did some 2.5 by 3.5s. I just kind of eyeballed everything, and like I said, I mapped it out in Photoshop to figure out how I wanted to do this. I think I ended up with, I want to say 14 photos. I think it's 14. Can I count? 5, 10? Well, there's 13 there. I think I'm missing I don't know what I'm missing. Maybe it's 13. I don't know. I think that this is a decent amount of photos to be able to get on a double page layout. And they still look, to me, they still look balanced. My background is still interesting while the photos are technically covering up a lot of the pencil. The interesting parts of the pencil are still exposed and you can still kind of see them. Now, after I did like all those rainbow pencils, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with my photos. I didn't leave a white mat on them when I printed them because I just didn't think it would stand out against the white background. I kind of played around with the thought of matting them on matching color cardstock. So like the photo that was going to be over with like the reds and pink pencils, I was going to mat it on like a red or pink paper and kind of go across. That was hurting my brain. So one of my go-tos is vellum and then put some white paint on the edge. This is one of those things that I get too impatient and I don't wait for things to dry. So I did make sure to keep like a scrap piece of paper. So that's kind of what I'm using to put pressure on it and like rub the adhesive down with in an attempt to keep the paint off of my fingers and some of the spots that was a little bit still wet. I did mess up one of the photos of my son, but like I said, it was an easy fix to go and just print another one. And I'm kind of glad I messed it up because I actually needed to make it a narrower edit as well. Even though I mapped it out on Photoshop, sometimes when I go to put it together on the layout, I still kind of need to, to do some tweaking. So that was the one that is going to go in the green pencils. I pulled it out. Now, this is a title piece also from the Silhouette store. Information is on the screen. I cut a layer in like a charcoal gray and then I cut a layer in this like tan craft color and did like a drop shadow. Basically, you just glue it and you adjust it to where the top layer is slid like a little to the right or a little to the left or a little above, a little below. You're just seeing the edges of that layer on the bottom peeking through. And it gives you the look of dimension without actually having to have the dimension. I still did add some foam adhesive strips. These are the 1mm size from scrapbook.com and I absolutely love them. They are really thin, but they still give just like that hint of a little bit of, like I said, dimension and just a little bit of a lift without it being like super bulky. So at this point, I still wasn't really sure how I was going to embellish. Those pencils are taking up a lot of the like design and the interest, but I still wanted to bring in some school themed supplies. So that was why I had cut all those print and cuts from Tracy Reed. And I really love the color palette of that collection. So I'm just going to kind of take a lot of those pieces and nestle them in along the title and above some of the photos. And what I'm doing is I'm picking elements and icons in matching colors of where it's falling on those pencils. This is a technique that I do a lot. It's something that I just visually like the look of. To me, I like the tone on tone, matchy type of vibe because I think it's, one, I like it. Two, it's just easier for me to do that than to come up with clusters that have a lot of like mixed colors. My brain somehow just says that it doesn't look right, but it looks right if they're all the same color. So, you do you, I'll do me, and I'll show you what I do. But I originally thought I was going to do like DIY thickers and kind of do like something in black across the bottom. But again, my photos aren't all on like the same level. Like they don't all have like a straight thing on the bottom of them. So I was worried about how that was going to look. So when I went to the Silhouette Studio store, I was just kind of looking for something that I could size really big, but that the letters themselves weren't super lined up so that it kind of mimicked what was going on with my photos and how they're staged across the layout as well. So still just kind of finding things to tuck in. Most of these come from one of the PDFs that you print and cut. I think there's a total of 3. So like one has a lot of like titles, one has borders. This one was the sheet that had like a ton of icons. I think I actually had some leftovers from other times that I've printed this out as well. So I just kind of hold things here and there, decide if I like it. If I like it, I go ahead and put some foam strips on the back of it. I tried to get that little laptop that says distance learning to work. Something about the way that that's like shaped and the size that I printed it out in, I've tried to work it into 2 or 3 layouts at this point, and I've yet to kind of find the sweet spot that I like. So it just goes back with everything else that's already printed, and I think I actually just used it yesterday. So he found a home. At the end, I was still kind of feeling like it needed something, and there were these little paper airplanes that was also part of this print and cut sheet, and I decided to go ahead and nestle them onto the title as well. I think I'm gonna go ahead and skip the date for this, mostly because in my album, this is gonna go right behind another layout from this same day. It's actually gonna go between like our pancake tradition and then a layout that I did for a different year that Sara did this hop. I did like our first day of distance learning and had typed out like a bunch of journaling and just kind of how the first day went, which it was rough. But I will link that video up here in the eye above, and then just kind of remind you guys that this is part of a hop. So if you came here as a subscriber to my channel or just through scrolling YouTube, go ahead and open the description box. There is a list of everybody who's participating today. There's 2 days that this hop is going to run. So I will link to Sara's channel. I will link to everybody participating today. And if you're new here and you like my style, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more inspiration. And I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'm so excited to go watch the other videos in this hop. And that's going to be it for me today. I hopefully will catch you guys later.